Alright, this is going to be a take two. I'm going to try to record a quick video here, just down and dirty, about something I found here as I was doing some research for firearms museums, doing some projects for the museums that we visited on the tours, and found this thing in this website called Hyper Allergic. I've never heard of it before, and it just came up in the searches when I was searching for firearms museums, I guess because they have Firearms Museum in the title of their article here from March from 2018. Just a couple of quick things. I already made a video and it went on forever and ever. I tried to address too many points here. This is a writer, Allie something, who is an idiot or intentionally trying to create division, or well, that's, I guess, the only two things. So she's either a bad writer and she doesn't know anything, or she does know and she's intentionally trying to create division. So I went through and chatted about a couple of things here. I'll include a link to the article so anybody that wants to could dig in and add further discussion to this, or rather add further elements to the discussion here. There's just a couple of things that I wanted to touch on, or I'm going to try to do to keep this video brief, and that is the first point about halfway down here. She's just really divisive. Basically, she goes to the NRA museum a month or so after somebody mass murdered a bunch of people and used a firearm, and she wants the museum to see, because she lives close by, she wanted to see what they were going to do to react, I guess, and hold them accountable for, I guess, not reacting. Can't say that I read the whole thing, but there was a couple of things here that really bugged me. First off, when you drive into the museum, you can barely tell in this picture, and she doesn't try to illustrate it very well, but this is a little driveway going underneath the building. There's two towers and an area between them, and you can drive from the street that you see there straight through into the parking lot where she's taking this picture from. And as you drive through there, you're going to pass by two black and white US flags, and those black and white US flags have one stripe down the middle that is blue, and that's an old thin blue line flag that's been around for a decade now, and they basically just say I stand with the police. It's just a reminder that you're with the police or something, and I don't like them. They're all tattered, they look like they're unkempt, and they're ripping apart. So I noticed those as I came in, and stay tuned for another video where I complain about them, because I literally took video of them. They look so bad out there. So they're an embarrassing, awkward nod to the police, and I think it's embarrassing because there's anybody who is law enforcement that would drive past them has to be embarrassed that they've got tattered U.S. flags out there. Don't use our flag. But in long story short, I'm not a big fan of this whole thing, but the fact is she calls them Blue Lives Matter. Now, Blue Lives Matter is a big difference than thin blue line, and maybe you don't agree with me or not, but I think this Blue Lives Matter BS is her attempt to suggest that the NRA intentionally put those things up to push some buttons, when they've obviously been there for a long time. Like I say, I literally was going to be posting a video. I've got some video of those flags. So that was the first thing as I was reading this through the first time that really got my goat. I really did not like that she was suggesting that the NRA went out there recently in order to, do this as some sort of political statement, when really those tattered old flags have been out there for a long time, and they're embarrassing and bad, but this is one of the consequences of having things out there and neglecting them. The other thing is she doesn't understand a museum. If you go to the museum's website, and I'll link to it in the same description here, and you go to literally the museum's main page, or the first page of the main website, it'll tell you how big the museum is. It'll tell you the museum details nearly 700 year history of firearms with an emphasis on the American experience. And then it says that of the 15 galleries that it explains earlier, each gallery is evocative of a period of time in American history. So the third sentence of the first paragraph of their website explains the layout, basically explains the concept of the museum, that it's going to explain the 700-year history of firearms with an emphasis on American firearms in a sequential period as you walk through the museum. So she goes on and on in this article about how she doesn't understand the layout of the museum and she thinks it's random. And the first couple of things are inexpensive guns that were donated by a billionaire, and she can't get over that. But then she eventually gets to a point where she sees the Teddy Roosevelt area. So Teddy Roosevelt, right, Theodore Roosevelt I should say, they have a teddy bear there. And I really don't think she understands where teddy bears come from. So she is convinced that the teddy bear is some sort of a politically motivated, intentional jab at the tens of thousands of bears sent to Sandy Hook. So somehow sending tens of thousands of things made by labor overseas, by materials made overseas, to Sandy Hook to be thrown away eventually, I suppose, or else they had to put all that plastic and fuzz into some sort of museum that they have to heat and cool and pay for someone to watch. So I don't know, I suppose by sending tens of thousands of bears to Sandy Hook, that was somehow a motivated, something that the NRA did by having a teddy bear in the Theodore Roosevelt thing that's been there since 2000, the first time I went to the NRA museum, 2 years after it opened. So there you go. Those are two things that I wanted to talk about in this article. There's so much more you could talk about. This is, again, an attempt at someone who's either ignorant and just flapping her lips, or she's aware and causing division. One of the two. So if you want to read it, go for it. And if you don't, I can understand that. This is another quick video, just in the middle of the night. Was doing some research and saw this one, figured I'd wrap it up. So let us know in the comments what you think. And if it raises some discussion, link to the video you create or the conversation you have. As always, thanks for watching.